Hey everyone, my name's Kelvin and today I'm going to show you how to use the Map Poster Creator template for Photoshop. So after you've purchased the files, go ahead and download them to your computer, and it's going to download a zip file. And the zip file looks just like this, and before we can use it, of course we have to unzip it. So I'm going to double click it to do that. So after the files have successfully been unzipped, it's going to give us a little folder here. So we're going to go in there, and here are all the files for the Map Poster Creator template. Now these two are Photoshop files, and these are the main sizes that I have for this template. But if you happen to need a different size, I can't create every possible size, but I do have a handful of extra sizes. So make sure you check out the description down below this video, because I'll put a list of all the different sizes and where you can download them. Now this folder here will contain any extras and updates I might add in the future, but currently, as of now, it's empty. And this file here is the README text file, which has instructions, links to this video, as well as my email address, and feel free to send me an email if you have any questions. Now to start using this kit, I'm going to use one of these sizes, and I think I'll start with the A2, A3, A4 map size. So I'll just double click that to open it in Photoshop. So when I first open it up, it shows me a mockup, and this is just a handy tool just in case you want to sell your poster templates on Etsy or something, and you can use this as part of the thumbnail if you want. Now to edit the map, I'm going to go over here to the Layers panel. Now if you don't see the Layers panel, just go up to Window and then Layers, and then it will make it visible. Now the very top one here, Poster Creator in here, this is where we're actually going to customize the poster. So if you see the layer thumbnail, there's a little page icon in the corner. I'm going to double click that, and it's going to open up a separate document tab in Photoshop. So now we've entered the main Map Poster Creator template. The mockup still exists, it's over here. It's just linked up to this second tab here, and this is where we can customize everything. So here's where we're going to place in the maps, but first we need to grab that map and download it first. So I'm going to go over to Safari, and I'm going to go to Google, and I'll put a direct link to the map website in the description below, but it's really easy to find. I'm just going to type in Snazzy Maps, Clean Gray, and then press enter. It's usually the first result. And Snazzy Maps is just a website where they sort of rework Google Maps and give them a style. Now keep in mind that although Snazzy Maps has a lot of different map styles, only the clean gray one will work with this poster template. So if you haven't used Snazzy Maps before, I recommend creating an account first. And an easy way to do that is to just go to this little image icon and click download image. And then it will prompt you to create an account. So we'll go to register. We can create any kind of nonsense that we want, so I'll just make up an account name. So I basically just entered in a bunch of nonsense in a random password, then I'll click register. And after that, we can use all the features we need to download the maps from this website. So I'm going to go back to the image icon that we clicked on before, and this time it's going to take us to the image download tool. And I'm going to go over to the size, and I'm going to set it to 800 pixels wide by 1000 pixels tall. I'm going to set the scale factor to 3x, and then I'm just going to pan around on this map, and it works just like Google Maps. There's no labels though, so it can be a little bit tricky to find your location. You might set up Google Maps in a separate tab and just kind of go back and forth. You can also search for a city or a state or a country and find your location that way. But for the purposes of this example, I think I'm just going to stick here to New York. Now periodically when you pan around, you might see like a gray boundary kind of covering the map. Don't worry, it's just a glitch with the website. It doesn't actually affect the map at all. So once you've got everything lined up, you can go ahead and download the image. Now it's going to allow you to download 10 maps a day, but of course if you want to exceed 10 maps, you can just log off, create a different nonsense account and get 10 more. So because it's a PNG image, it might take a couple of seconds to download, but after it's finished, just go back to Photoshop and back to the template. And here are the layers where we need to place the map in. We need to place one copy in each of these different layers. So I'm going to start with number 1. So I'll double click the little page icon there. Again, it opens up a smart object. For this one, don't place it in here. You got to go one more layer deep. So again, I'll double click that little page icon, and here we go. So when you see replace me, that's where we need to paste in the map. So now I can go to File, Place Embedded, and then locate the map in the Downloads folder. So once the map is placed in there and it looks like it's lining up correctly, I'm just going to press enter. And And then I can go up here to this document tab. I'm going to close it and save it, and it'll take a second to load. And it brings us back to this one. Again, don't edit this one at all. Just close it and then save it. Now after the first smart object is finished, we can move on and do the second one. So similar process, I'm just going to double click that page icon. And this one is just a single layer kind of smart object. So as in before, we had to go into that extra smart object. This one, you don't have to do that. You can just place it in here directly. So go to File, Place Embedded. And then here's our map. I'll place it in there. Press Enter. And then I can close and save this tab. So now that the map is totally finished, we can go on and use some of these other options here to customize the layout. Now most of these options are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll try to go over some of the main, more important options. So the first one is the color option. If you open up that, it'll allow you to just click a custom color, and it's going to automatically apply it to the layout. So we can choose something like this, and then we'll do OK. Now you can't have multiple colors on a map. You have to choose one custom color, and then it will automatically apply it and make sure that the map looks good and that it has enough contrast. Now once we're done with the color option, we can just close that group. Another option here is the invert. So on-off toggle invert poster. So if you turn that on, it looks like this and flips it around like that. It just sort of reverses the layout. And there's also another one down here, and this one just inverts the map. So by using these two invert options in various combinations, you can create some really interesting layouts. Another option here is the heart mode and the circle mode. So make sure both of those aren't accidentally switched on. If you want to use this, make sure only one is enabled, and it just crops the map into one of those shapes. The next option here is the map border. So if we open up that group, it has a handful of options we can choose from. So I think for this one, let's see, maybe the thin line is good. I think for me, I personally like the really simple styles. So after you've chosen a map border, you don't have to, you could just leave it blank. But after you've decided on that, you can just close that group. And the next one here is the bottom fade options. So if I open up that group, that basically controls this kind of fade that's happening here at the bottom of the map. And the purpose of that is kind of style, but also it helps with the visibility of the text. So I'm using the extra soft gradient, but if I turn it off, you can see you can't really read the text anymore. So you're probably going to want to choose one of these options if you're going to use text on your map. And I think I want to stick with the extra soft gradient, but you can adjust the opacity of all of these. So as long as that layer is selected and it's visible, you can go up here to opacity and then just kind of raise it or lower it depending on the style you want to get. And after that, I'll just close that group. And the last option that I want to cover are the map elements. So after you've placed in your map in these two smart objects, it sort of splits it up into these three different groups. So you could turn all of them off and just try placing one at a time. So for example, if you don't want any roads at all, you just want the land, you'd enable that. Same thing with the water. And using these in different combinations can also create some unique layouts. But typically, I just stick with the land on and then the roads on. And I think in most cases, that looks really nice. And the custom text, of course, it functions just like any text in Photoshop. Just make sure you don't accidentally change the name of the layer. If you want to edit the text, you have to actually double click the T icon here, and then you can just type the text like you normally would. Same thing with the bottom text, and also you can't change the color of this text. So for example, this does give you the option to change the color to something else, but it's just not going to be very reliable. So I recommend keeping the color as always set to black. If you want to, you can also invert the text, and that'll just turn it white. And again, this is just an option to kind of increase the legibility of the text. Now, when you're totally happy with your layout and you're ready to export a file that you want to print, I don't recommend exporting a Photoshop document. What you should do is use the Save As or Save for Web to produce a JPEG image of this poster. So I'm going to do that by going to File, Export, and then Save for Web. And even if you're not using this file on the web, you actually just want to print it, it's okay because Save As and Save for Web produce exactly the same types of files. I just prefer Save for Web because it has an option to compress the file to control the quality. So if you want to shrink the file size, you could lower the quality to 60, 50, even a quality of 30 would be totally fine. But make sure you don't change the size. Then you can just save this as a JPEG image, just anywhere on your computer, and then upload that and send it to your print shop. Now, a common question that I get is, how do I choose between the multiple sizes? So for example, we're using the A2, A3, A4 size map template. Now, you don't have to do anything to switch between those two sizes, because what that means is this poster is actually A2, and since A2, A3, A4, all the A sizes are exactly the same shape, you can scale it down automatically. The printer will just do it automatically to the smaller sizes. So there's nothing you need to change to print on the A3 or the A4 size. Same thing goes with the 8x10 and 16x20 size poster. And if you want to use the mockup, just go ahead and close and save the poster creator template here. It might send you a warning about CS6. No problem, just click OK. And after a couple of seconds, when it's finished loading, it will place the map inside of the mockup. Now you can change the background of the mockup if you want. So we'll choose a color to match it a little bit better. There we go. Just make sure you obviously don't print this file, because the mockup is only like 3000 pixels by 3000 pixels, which is fine for using online like on Etsy, but it's too low res to print any kind of large file with this. And that pretty much wraps it up. Please email me if you have any questions or issues with this template. You can also leave a comment down below and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. I just recommend sending me a message by email because I'm more active on that. And that pretty much wraps it up. As always, thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.